thehype.blogspot.com. Here to debut a new feature I like to call Seat Check. What we'll do is we'll go throughout the year as certain sports are in season, as the season starts to wind down. We'll take a look at the hot seats of some coaches. One of the things I love is the coaching carousel, no matter what the sport. So right now we want to focus on college basketball and some of the coaches that may be on the hot seat. Now what I want to do is break this down into categories, and we'll do this from here on out. We'll go back to kind of old school NBA Jam, if you guys remember that great classic video game. NBA Jam, we'll have a section that we'll call Heating Up, and then we'll have a section called He's on Fire. So we'll look at the seats from that way, starting with the Heating Up seats. These are guys who are inching their way closer and closer to being fired. The trigger could be pulled, but I'm not 100% certain that it will. One of the guys in the ACC whose seat has to be heating up is Jeff Bzdelik. I think this is only his second year at Wake Forest, but I think that Wake Forest kind of wishes they may have had Dino Gaudio back. You look at what Bzdelik has done at Wake, and he's done a very underwhelming job. I think they were expecting a lot more than what they've gotten so far in the first couple of years of Bzdelik's tenure at Wake Forest. Another one in the SEC. Heating up is Darren Horn. Now he may be, by the end of the season, he may slide into the on fire category. Darren Horn from South Carolina. Another one of the Western Kentucky coaches who has moved on to the SEC. Obviously, as a Georgia fan, I remember how poorly the hire turned out to be of Dennis Felton at UGA. And to see his successor Darren Horn get another SEC job and fail miserably at South Carolina. South Carolina really, it isn't a terrible coaching job. You could definitely win there. Go back and look at Eddie Fogler and look at some of the coaches they've had in the past 15 to 20 years. That hasn't been a terrible program, but he's made it one. Not only have they had problems on the court, but they've had problems off the court with players leaving and transferring and quitting the team and going to play football and those kind of things. So I would not be surprised at all if by the end of the season, if they continue to lose, if Darren Horn makes his way onto the He's on Fire section, is ready to get fired. Another one that I had for heating up possibly is Doc Sadler at Nebraska. This is one. He's been kind of underwhelming in terms of his performance so far in Nebraska. They made a move to the Big Ten. Obviously, a night in, night out basis, a step up in competition. The Big 12 does have some great teams this year. I'm not so sure that Nebraska would be still doing poorly if they were still in the Big 12. But facing tougher challenges year in, year out. I guess I should say in the Big Ten. Certainly a tough job. They got plenty of money at Nebraska. They may look to make a move there. Who knows? But that's definitely a possibility. Another one, the final one in my heating up category, is Ben Howland at UCLA. I think he's kind of moved his way from the He's on Fire to the heating up section, of the hot seat meter. Howland obviously got off to an inauspicious start this year. They struggled right at the gate. Got blown out by Middle Tennessee State, one of their poor losses. Obviously he's kind of picked things up in a weak Pac-12. Has been able to pick up some wins against some perennially strong teams that aren't really necessarily so strong this year. But he's probably had enough wins this season, especially with a decent close to the season, to get another year. On to the He's on Fire section. The He's on Fire section. These are guys who I think are 99% out the door. They're pretty much already done. The first one, the He's on Fire section, probably the most popular of all, is Bruce Weber, Illinois. Obviously it became known in the last few weeks that he was probably coaching for his job, trying to motivate his team, and they've just looked completely listless. In their last couple of losses, got blown out almost by 30 on the road at Nebraska. Just a very embarrassing way to end a pretty good tenure. I mean, you guys don't forget, you can say whatever about it being Bill Self's players, but Bruce Weber did coach in a national championship game not that long ago. To see his tenure at Illinois, a great basketball school, end this way is kind of sad. But I think it's past the point of no return. I think he's definitely going to be fired. Another one who is definitely going to be fired, Kevin O'Neal at University of Southern Cal. I cannot figure out how he continues to get jobs. Obviously with Lute Olson, taking a leave a couple of years back, he kind of walked into the job there at Arizona, did an average job. I think they were like 19 or 15, 18, 16, somewhere around in there. somehow parlays that into the Southern California job. Obviously, Tim Floyd had something to do with that. But, I for the life of me, I can't figure out what people think is so great about Kevin O'Neal as a basketball coach. His best days, honestly, were on the screen in Hoop Dreams back when he was at Marquette. He did a poor job at Tennessee, even worse job at Northwestern. Builds his way back up through the assistant ranks, goes to Arizona, has an okay year as an interim, and then gets this USC job. And honestly, if you look at the BCS conferences, USC is probably the worst team out of any in all of the BCS conferences. They're just absolutely terrible. I think he's on his way out. This one I think is on fire. You could probably put it on the heating up in reality. This one I can't figure out for the life of me is Herb Sendek at Arizona State. I know they had a couple of 20-win seasons. One got them in the NIT. They have made one NCAA tournament berth since he's been there. Herb got fired at NC State for not making the tournament and not winning in the tournament enough. They did make the tournament a decent amount, but always lost there in the first weekend. Since then, he's done a poor job in a weak Pac-12. I can't figure out why Arizona State isn't any better than they are. To be quite honest, I thought they were better with Rob Evans than they ever were with Herb Sendek. He's kind of the guy that, to me, he's the Norv Turner of college basketball. For some reason, some way, somehow, this guy just keeps his job every single year, and I can't figure out why. And another one that's on the on fire section, this was the last one, is Matt Doherty at SMU. If you want to know anything there is need to know about Matt Doherty, he lost 20 games at North Carolina. How sorry do you have to be to lose 20 games at North Carolina? I could go coach the Tar Heels and we wouldn't lose 20 ball games. That's a guarantee. Now, he at SMU, he worked his way back up from Florida Atlantic and back to SMU as a coach. Done a poor job. They're scoring, in the 20s and 30s here lately in some games. Just at the bottom of a Conference USA that really is down. Not a great Conference USA like it has been in the past with, with your Memphises and those that have been up near the top of the country. Matt Doherty, I think, is definitely going to get fired. Here are three names to think about that aren't necessarily in my hot seat category, but I think, moves could be made on them, especially if they don't make the tournament this year. These are guys that have put up solid records, made plenty of NIT appearances, but haven't necessarily made the big dance a lot lately, and that could cost them their job. One is Seth Greenberg at Virginia Tech. It's not a bubble Sunday, usually in March without Seth Greenberg. He's always there, pitching for his team to get in the NCAA tournament. Usually they don't get in. This year they really don't have a case. Another one is Andy Kennedy at Ole Miss. This is his 6th year. The expectations have kind of been raised year by year that he would eventually step up and make the tournament. That hasn't happened, and without a strong run in the SEC tournament, maybe probably making the finals, they're probably not going there either. So Andy Kennedy could be a guy I could easily see being fired. Not that he deserves to be, but just for the lack of tournament appearances. And the most high profile to me of all those names is Bill Carmody at Northwestern. Obviously, much has been made across the country about Northwestern and the fact they've never been to the NCAA tournament. They got a great shot this year. They are on track to at least be in firm center of the bubble discussion on Selection Sunday. But if they don't make it, will the Northwestern administration think, well, hey, maybe this is as far as Carmody can take us? Should we make a move? They've been kind of on the precipice. People have been talking the last 3 to 4 years about them stepping up, making a tourney run, and every year they kind of get there and then fade in February. It'll be interesting to see if they're able to maintain their momentum in these last couple of weeks of the regular season. So there you have it, guys. I like to call that seat check. We'll do that as we go through the different seasons of the year. We'll talk more about those with Major League Baseball, the NFL, college football, as we talk about the coaching carousel. But again, guys, a lot of names there you hear will be looking for jobs here in the next 2 or so weeks. So there you have it, guys. You can check us out, don'tbuythehype.blogspot.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Jordan D. Rushing. And take care, guys. Have a great night.